Peace, y'all. What's up? It's more virus vacation. I just wanted a quick clip. I want to show you what we got going on with these brake pads and how we're going to get around the spring loaded or spring return on these pads and having to deal with all those shims and washers and all that stuff for adjusting air gap. Now in the rear of the Paul Martin, it's easy enough, right? You have what's known as an adjuster. And I'll bring this stuff up to you up close. It's a single unit. It's actually a piece of tube. It's got some threads on the outside. It's got a 1/4 inch Allen cap that's pressed into it. Inside of this is a button head Allen bolt, like so. It has an O-ring on the outside of it, so it's up against that back side of that 1/4 inch cap, right? And then over top of the sleeve that's on the inside like this. This is for a front, but it's the same thing. The rear is a little bit shorter. Then there's a spring over top of the sleeve. Only the bolt goes in, there's just that little bit of the bolt goes into the back of the pad, okay? Like so. So you've got a recess cut in the hole. This is the front, but the rear's the same way. There's a bigger hole here, and then a smaller pass-through hole that you'll see that just the spacer that he makes goes around here. So it's bigger around on this side, not just for the head of the bolt, but you have a spring that goes over this, and that's what pulls the pads back when you let off the brakes. We don't want that. We want our pads to self-adjust, so they'll stay out by the rotor, just like your car, right? Just like I explained. So let me get you in here. Went up to the hardware and I bought a bunch of these. Are 3/8 inside, 9/16 outside, 3/32 thick. They work perfect. They straight away with no muss and no fuss. They'll work perfect on this rear setup. Now here is that adjuster. You'll see that maybe if I got two hands here, man, if I need another hand, I need some help. Let me sit you right down on this. Sit you right there, and I'll show you. We get an Allen wrench in here. That's the right size. Anything that'll fit through, and you'll see that this thing is spring loaded. You see that? You can see that bit of oops, sorry about that, folks. That bit of spacer here comes protruding out of this whole thing that's called a adjuster. Okay, now in the rear, this hole on the rear caliper has actually got threads in it, and this thing would thread back and forth. So if you want to tighten your air gap to your rotor with your pad, you would just adjust this whole adjuster through the body of the caliper. The fronts don't have that. It's a little, like I said, it's a little bit different. The spring goes over top of this setup here, and the whole thing comes through. The spring sits inside. The bolt head keeps it from, coming out this way. And then, the spring would boom, 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 pull it back and forth. So what we did is we take these adjusters. This is for another caliper I have. And you take your 1/4 inch Allen wrench and you put it in here while it's in the body of the caliper, and you pop it loose, right? You pop this cover off. Now, at this point, it's sketchy. If you ever want to go back to using this, 9 out of 10 times when you put this back on, it's going to spin. You won't be able to adjust the adjuster. You have to buy a whole new adjuster. But we're beyond that. We're not going that way. So this is what I did. We got the 3/8 by 9/16, 332 wide. I'm showing you on this front because I haven't got the other half off yet, but I've already done one side of the rear. So we're putting one out by the head and then one on the end. We put just a little bit of petroleum jelly or Vaseline, if you want to get into brand names, and it slips right into the body of this adjuster. I'm sorry, that's still in the caliper, because you need that to take up the space in that rear caliper, but you take all the rest of the guts out of it, right? We're going to use the bolt and the spacer in here, but we take out the O-ring and the spring and throw them away. And then what we'll do is we lube this up, and it slides right in, and it's going to keep these two pad bolts from being sloppy in the body of the caliper itself and doing what this is doing right here. This brake pad here does not have the O-rings put in place. This one already does. I'll bring you over here in a second, but watch what happens. You see that? It's just sitting there jingling, and some guys will say, oh, that's going to cause friction. It's going to slow you down. Well, maybe it will, but we're going to fix it by doing this right here with the, let me see if I can hold the light and the camera. By putting those O-rings on, you see that pad doesn't move at all. And it'll still move out with the piston to meet the rotor, and then it'll release enough to not stay with the brakes on, you know what I mean? But what it does is it keeps that pad from, man, again, I need all my hands on deck here. It keeps that pad from being jingle, moving around. So I got to take the caliper off to do the other side. And I'll bring you that in the next little video. So these will be, the next couple videos will be real quick with this rear brake. But just wanted to show you what we got going here. We're going to do the same with the front as well. But we're going to have to get a little creative. What we're going to have to do is sand the outside diameter of these O-rings, maybe on Richie's belt sander or something. Just take the outside diameter of it down enough. It's about, this is a 524 hole out inside, and on the rear, this deal here is like 568 on the inside of this tube that's in the back. So we need that. We need, you know, a couple of 20 thou. And it'll slide right in just like it did in the rear. So we'll bring you that coming up quick. These are the little wooden things we made for our seat. We'll bring you all that maybe tomorrow. But we're out in the garage messing around before it's time to go in and cook dinner. Love y'all. Bring you back in a few minutes.